On this episode, we discuss, can you use a Rolex as your deposit when purchasing a home, and how many properties should you actually look at before buying?
You ask real estate questions, and I answer them. This is the Ask Daniel Los Angeles Show.
Welcome everybody to episode 34 of the Ask Daniel Los Angeles Show. We have 4 very interesting real estate questions, so let's get started.
Carla asks, the buyer for my home wants to use their Rolex watch as their good faith deposit. Is that even possible?
So when you're purchasing a home, as soon as the seller accepts the offer, the buyer is supposed to send over a 3% deposit to the escrow company. They hold that in their bank account. Now, instead of sending over money, can you have the escrow company hold a Rolex for you, an actual piece of jewelry? Well, I guess the answer is yes, but the escrow company has to be willing to hold that somewhere. I mean, I guess they have a safety deposit box. I don't know what the answer is, but they would hold that Rolex for you. But then we get into a little bit of a gray area. How much is the Rolex worth? And is the Rolex even real? We all had, we've heard these stories of fake Rolexes. So that is something else. So now we get the watch appraised, and now you got to pay money to get that watch appraised. Who pays for that appraisal? It could be a real headache. So don't do it. Take the Rolex, pawn it, sell it, do whatever you want, get the cash for it, take that cash, and then send it over to the escrow company like every other buyer would across the country.
Terry and John ask, how long does a listing agreement usually last?
Before you put your home on the market, you are going to sit down with an agent and they're going to go over some paperwork. That's called the listing agreement. And on the first page of the listing agreement, it says how long that listing agreement is good for. So typically it's like 6 months that you're going to give your agent a chance to sell your house, but that's not set in stone. You can do whatever period of time you want. You can do a year. You can do 2 weeks. I've personally have done 1-day listing agreements where I just take one single buyer into a property, and if that works out for that buyer, great. Then they purchase a home. So I've done as little as 1-day listing agreements. So there's nothing that is set in stone. It could be any time that the owner of the home and the listing agent agree to.
Patty asks, how many homes should I view before buying one?
There's no set amount of homes that you should view before buying it. I mean, you could go to the first home and get a home run and you'll love the house and everything's perfect and you buy that house. Or you can go and visit one property every single week for a year and you'll never find the right property. So there's really no answer to this. My personal best record is I showed 3 houses and the buyer bought that 3rd house. And I've done that twice. So that's my personal best record. But really, there's no set number that I could tell you. I do recommend that you do go to open houses and just kind of check out every type of property that's in the area that you're interested in. And then after that, contact an agent, and then the agent will really hone in on what you're looking for. And then at that point, you might be lucky and find it on your 3rd try.
Mark asks, my lender told me I will have to pay PMI as part of my monthly mortgage. What is that?
PMI, that stands for private mortgage insurance. That is something your lender is going to be charging you if you're putting down less than 20%. They're basically backing themselves up. If you were to default, that private mortgage insurance kicks in and really helps them. So it doesn't help you in any way. So if you're able to if you're purchasing a property, I always recommend putting down at least 20% so that you don't have to pay that PMI, because really it's just a complete waste of money and it doesn't help you out in any way. I have heard that there are some lenders that won't charge PMI. If you're under 20%, you kind of have to do some shopping around. That's getting a little bit popular, but typically you want to go over 20% to avoid PMI. That is it for episode 34 of the Ask Daniel Los Angeles Show. Good news, we now have a podcast of the Ask Daniel Los Angeles Show. Download it wherever you download your podcast from. You keep asking real estate questions, and I'll keep answering them.